Silent Watchers. The Grand Observatory of the Galactic Federation hung like a jeweled spider web in space, its crystalline arrays spread across millions of kilometers. Within its central hub, High Observer Zextal watched the holographic displays with 6 pairs of eyes, each focused on different sectors of the known universe. For 10,000 years, the Federation had maintained perfect order through perfect knowledge. Every civilized world, every spacefaring race, all of them monitored, categorized, and controlled. All except one. High Observer, we're detecting unusual readings from Sector 47B, announced Junior Observer Myra, her tentacles rippling with concern. The primitive world, Earth. Zextal's upper eyes blinked in dismissal. The humans, they barely have satellites. They fight among themselves over crude fuel resources. What could possibly warrant our attention? That's just it, sir. The energy signature, it doesn't match anything in our databases, and it's massive. The High Observer floated closer to Myra's station. Curiosity finally piqued. The humans had been a source of mild amusement to the Federation for centuries. They'd been designated as a Class 3 developing civilization, permitted to progress at their own pace, under the assumption they'd eventually destroy themselves or advance enough to be properly subjugated like all other races. The holographic display showed Earth, that unremarkable blue planet, but something was different. Deep beneath the planet's largest ocean, something was stirring. The energy readings were impossible. They suggested technology far beyond even the Federation's capabilities. Increase scanning resolution, Zextal ordered, all 12 eyes now fixed on the display. Contact the Council. They need to. The rest of his words died in his throat. The ocean was moving. No, not moving. Parting. Rising from depths that should have been empty came a ship, but ship seemed an inadequate word for what they were witnessing. It was massive, easily dwarfing the largest Federation vessels. Its hull seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it, creating a void in space that their sensors struggled to track. Impossible, Myra whispered, her tentacles now completely still in shock. Their energy manipulation, the material composition, this can't be human technology. But it was. As the vessel rose into orbit, it broadcast a simple message on all frequencies, in perfect Federation standard. Greetings, Silent Watchers. We see you too. The message sent waves of panic through the observatory. Humans weren't supposed to know Federation standard. They weren't supposed to know about the observers. They weren't supposed to have ships that could make Federation technology look primitive in comparison. Zextal felt something he hadn't experienced in his 300 years of service. Fear. The humans hadn't been evolving according to the expected pattern. They hadn't been primitive at all. They had been waiting, watching, building. Send word to the Council, he ordered, his voice steady despite his inner turmoil. Code Black. Maximum priority. But before Myra could transmit the message, more readings began popping up all across Earth's orbit. More ships, emerging from what their sensors insisted was empty space. The humans hadn't just built one impossible vessel. They had built a fleet. In the Council chambers across the galaxy, the most powerful beings in the Federation were about to learn a harsh truth. Their perfect order had been built on a foundation of arrogance. They had watched the humans, studied them, dismissed them, all while humanity had been watching back, learning, preparing. The humans had played a long game, presenting themselves as primitive while secretly advancing far beyond what the Federation thought possible. They had hidden in plain sight, using the Federation's own prejudices against them. As the human fleet took up formation around their homeworld, the Federation's observers could only watch in stunned silence. Their perfect system of control was about to be tested by the one species they had never truly understood. Zextal looked at the main display, where the first human vessel hung in space like a dark star. All these years, he murmured, we thought we were the Watchers. But we were the ones being watched. On board the human vessel, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the HSS Prometheus, watching the Federation's observation satellites scramble to track her fleet. After centuries of preparation, of careful deception, of building in secret, humanity was finally ready to step onto the galactic stage. "Status report," she commanded. "All systems nominal, Admiral," her XO responded. The quantum cloak performed perfectly. "Federation sensors are still trying to figure out how we masked our technology for so long." Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Federation had always believed that technological advancement followed a predictable pattern. They had never considered that a species might deliberately hide its progress, might choose to appear primitive, while secretly mastering technologies the Federation had never even imagined. "Send the second message," she ordered. "Let's show them exactly what humanity can do." As the message was transmitted, Chen thought about all the generations that had worked in secret, building this moment. The Federation believed they ruled the galaxy through knowledge and control. They were about to learn that humanity had gained something far more powerful, the element of surprise. The game of watchers and watch was over. Now it was time for humanity to show its true face to the galaxy. The Ghost Ship. Federation High Command was in chaos. For the first time in recorded history, the massive crystalline spire that served as the seat of galactic power had lost its characteristic serenity. Emergency meetings filled every chamber, while tactical displays showed the impossible human vessel that had shattered millennia of certainty. Supreme Commander Valthik, highest military authority of the Federation, stood before the High Council, his chidness armor reflecting the harsh light of the emergency beacons. "The vessel, they call it Prometheus. It's unlike anything we've encountered. Our most advanced scanning systems simply slide off its hull." "Impossible." Elder Kurix clicked, their crystalline form vibrating with agitation. No species at their development level could possess such technology. This must be an outside intervention. The massive hologram floating in the chamber's center showed the Prometheus in real time. The ship hung in space like a tear in reality, its dark hull seeming to bend light around it. As they watched, a Federation scout ship approached for closer observation. What happened next made even the eldest council members gasp. The Prometheus didn't move. It didn't fire weapons. Instead, the space around it shifted. The scout ship suddenly found itself 3 light years from its original position, its crew completely unharmed but thoroughly disoriented. "Spatial manipulation," Valthik explained, his voice tight with concern. "They're not just bending light. They're bending space itself. Our weapons, our shields, they may be useless against technology of this level." The council chamber erupted in argument. Some demanded immediate military action to crush this upstart species. Others called for diplomatic contact. A few whispered that perhaps surrender should be considered. But aboard the Prometheus, Admiral Chen watched the Federation's reaction with calculated satisfaction. Phase 2 was about to begin. "Launch the drones," she ordered. Across the hull of the Prometheus, panels that had appeared solid moments before simply ceased to exist. Thousands of objects the size of small shuttles emerge, each one powered by the same reality-bending technology as their mothership. The Federation's tactical displays exploded with alerts as the drones accelerated to impossible speeds, scattering across the galaxy. Each one headed for a different Federation world, carrying not weapons, but truth. "Signal from Federation High Command," Chen's XO reported. "They're demanding we power down and prepare for boarding." Chen smiled. "Send the response we prepared." Throughout Federation space, on every world, every station, every ship, the humans' message began to play. It showed the truth, recordings spanning centuries of Federation oppression, of species subjugated, of civilizations deliberately held back or destroyed to maintain the Federation's power. "We have watched," Chen's voice declared across the galaxy. "We have learned. We have prepared. And now, we offer a choice." The message continued, revealing how humanity had spent centuries secretly helping other species, building a hidden network of allies. The Federation's perfect control had been an illusion. Under their very noses, an alliance of resistance had been growing. On the Federation capital world, panic was setting in. Reports flooded in of ships appearing and disappearing at will, of planetary defense systems being bypassed as if they didn't exist, of long-oppressed populations rising up with surprisingly advanced weapons. How? Val Thek demanded, watching his carefully maintained military command structure crumble. How did they hide this from us? The answer came from an unexpected source. Elder Kurix, oldest of the council, began to laugh, a sound no one had heard in centuries. They played us, the elder declared, while we watched them fight their petty wars, split atoms, and burn fossil fuels. They were perfecting technologies we never even thought to look for. We watched their space launches using chemical rockets, never realizing they had mastered quantum tunneling. We monitored their primitive internet, never detecting the quantum entanglement network hidden beneath. We were so convinced of our superiority that we never considered they might be smart enough to hide their true capabilities. Aboard the Prometheus, Chen received confirmation that Phase 2 was complete. The Federation's perfect image was shattered. Its subject species were awakening to the possibility of freedom, and humanity's true allies were emerging from hiding. Admiral, her XO called out, we're detecting multiple quantum signatures. They're coming online. Across the galaxy, on worlds the Federation had dismissed as primitive, in systems they had marked as uninhabited, humanity's hidden shipyards activated. More ships like the Prometheus emerged from quantum cloaks that had hidden them for decades. The Federation had believed they were watching a primitive species slowly develop. Instead, they had been watching an elaborate performance, a carefully crafted deception designed to hide humanity's true progress. Send the final message, Chen ordered. Throughout Federation space, the human fleet revealed itself, not as conquerors, but as liberators. Each ship carried representatives from species the Federation had oppressed, now armed with human technology and burning with the desire for freedom. The Federation's perfect order was unraveling, and in its place, something new was emerging, something that had been building in secret for centuries, waiting for this moment. The ghost ship had shown itself to be very real indeed, and with it, humanity's long game was finally reaching its culmination. The Watchers had been watched, the controllers had been controlled, and now the galaxy would never be the same. Breaking the chains. The Zarkak shipyards, pride of the Federation's industrial might, had never been breached in its 1,000-year history. Its quantum-reinforced shields and temporal defense grid had repelled every attack ever launched against it. Yet now, its commanders watched in horror as their impenetrable defenses simply ceased to exist. The Prometheus and its sister ships appeared simultaneously at 12 strategic points around the facility, but they didn't attack. They didn't need to. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Liberation Fleet. Her voice echoed through every communication system. To the enslaved workers of the Zarkak's yards, your chains are broken. To your overseers, your time is over. Throughout the massive facility, the supposedly primitive worker species, beings the Federation had deemed suitable only for manual labor, activated devices they had hidden for years. Small quantum transmitters provided by secret human contacts transformed them from slaves into soldiers in an instant. Aboard the Prometheus, Chen watched as decades of planning unfolded. Status report on Operation Avalanche. Her XO, Commander David Patel, grinned as he read the incoming data. Simultaneous uprisings on 73 Federation industrial worlds. Their entire production network is paralyzed. The Federation fleet is scattered, trying to respond to too many crises at once. But it wasn't just military targets. On thousands of worlds, in millions of locations, the Federation's carefully maintained hierarchy was crumbling. Species they had classified as primitive revealed technologies that matched or exceeded Federation standards. Cultures they had dismissed as savage demonstrated levels of organization and coordination that left Federation strategists baffled. All of it made possible by humanity's greatest deception. They still don't understand, Chen mused, watching the chaos unfold on her tactical display. They think we developed this technology in secret. They haven't realized the truth yet. The truth was far more devastating than mere technological superiority. Humanity hadn't just developed advanced technology. They had fundamentally reimagined how technology could work. While the Federation built bigger ships and stronger weapons, humans had asked different questions entirely. Incoming transmission, Patil announced. Federation High Command. They're offering terms. Chen's expression hardened. No terms. Not until every slave is free, every chain is broken, and every being in this galaxy has the right to determine their own destiny. On the Federation capital world, Supreme Commander Valthek watched his empire crumble with growing comprehension. The humans, he whispered, they were never trying to catch up to us. They were going in a completely different direction. While the Federation had focused on domination through force, humanity had developed technologies of liberation. Their ships didn't just bend space. They could transfer knowledge instantly across vast distances, share consciousness between willing beings, and grant access to technological understanding that would have taken centuries to develop conventionally. Every slave they freed didn't just gain their freedom. They gained the knowledge and tools to maintain that freedom. Every world they liberated didn't just throw off Federation control. It became a new center of resistance, armed with technology that made Federation weapons obsolete. Admiral, Patil called out. The Andromeda network is active. 87% of Federation slave worlds are now connected. Knowledge transfer is proceeding at optimal rates. The Andromeda network was humanity's masterpiece, a quantum consciousness web that allowed instant sharing of information and experience between willing participants. Through it, formerly enslaved species could access centuries of human scientific knowledge, cultural understanding, and tactical expertise. But unlike the Federation's forced control, the network was entirely voluntary. Each species, each individual could choose what to learn, what to share, and how to use their newfound knowledge. In the shipyards around them, former slaves were already mastering technologies that their Federation overseers had never imagined possible. The quantum transmitters hadn't just been communication devices, they had been keys to unlock human knowledge, waiting for this moment. They're launching, Patil reported with satisfaction. The first free ships of the former slave species are taking flight. Chen watched as vessels crewed by newly liberated beings joined her fleet. These weren't captured Federation ships. They were new designs, created using human principles, but adapted to each species' unique characteristics and needs. The Federation had believed that order came from control, that civilization required hierarchy, that progress had to follow their prescribed path. Humanity had proven them wrong on every count. Send word to Earth, Chen ordered. Phase 3 is complete. Begin Phase 4. As her words reached Earth, hundreds more human ships emerged from hiding. But these weren't warships. They were carrying something far more powerful than weapons. They carried hope, knowledge, and the tools of self-determination. The Federation had watched humanity, believing they were observing a primitive species struggling to advance. Instead, they had been watching master strategists laying the groundwork for a galactic revolution. The chains were breaking, not through force of arms, but through the power of shared knowledge and collective liberation. And this was only the beginning. The hidden truth. The Federation Council chamber had lost its luster. The once pristine crystalline walls were dulled by emergency force fields, and the grand seats of power sat mostly empty. Only 3 council members remained, facing a hologram of someone they had never expected to meet, the leader of Earth's Global Defense Council. Dr. Maya Patel, her gray hair and lined face betraying centuries of life extended by human biotechnology, stood before them not as a supplicant, but as the architect of their downfall. "You're wondering why," she said, her voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. "Why we pretended to be primitive. Why we spent centuries playing the role of an emerging civilization. The answer is simple. We remembered our history. The hologram shifted, showing Earth's past. Not the sanitized version the Federation had in its archives, but the true history that humanity had kept hidden. We weren't always primitive, Dr. Patil continued. 10,000 years ago, humanity had reached heights of technological achievement that rivaled your current level. And then we met the Federation. Elder Crix's crystalline form vibrated with shock. Impossible. Our records. Your records show what we wanted them to show, Dr. Patil interrupted. When your predecessors arrived, offering to guide our development, we recognized the pattern. We had already received refugees from other worlds. We knew what Federation guidance really meant. The hologram showed the truth, how the ancient Federation had systematically stripped advanced civilizations of their independence, either through direct conquest or subtle manipulation. How they had created a galaxy-wide system of technological apartheid, ensuring that no species could ever truly challenge their dominance. So we made a choice, Dr. Patil explained. We destroyed all external evidence of our advancement. We buried our cities, erased our global networks, and began the longest deception in human history. We became primitive, but not before we moved our real civilization underground, underwater, and into hidden reaches of space. The council members watched in stunned silence as the hologram revealed the true scope of human achievement. Vast underground cities, underwater metropolises, and entire settlements phased just slightly out of normal spacetime, all hidden from Federation sensors through technologies that worked on principles the Federation had never conceived. But we didn't just hide, she continued. We began reaching out to other victims of Federation control. Every refugee, every escaped slave, every persecuted species found their way to Earth through networks we established. We became a sanctuary, but also a school. The hologram showed Earth's hidden face, vast learning centers where species from across the galaxy learned not just advanced technology, but new ways of thinking about science, society, and cooperation. Humans hadn't just preserved their knowledge. They had created a new paradigm of civilization. Your greatest mistake, Dr. Patil said, was believing that technological progress must follow a single path. While you built bigger ships and stronger weapons, we explored quantum consciousness, psychic technology, and the manipulation of reality itself. While you forced species to advance according to your template, we learned how each species' unique biology and psychology could lead to entirely new forms of technology. Supreme Commander Valthek, watching from his command center, finally understood the full scope of his failure. The primitive wars, the pollution, the social conflicts, all carefully staged, Dr. Patil confirmed. Every satellite you monitored, every radio signal you intercepted, every social media post you analyzed, all part of a planetary-scale performance designed to convince you we were just another primitive species stumbling toward the stars. But the most devastating revelation was yet to come. Your observation posts, she said, the ones you use to monitor us. We've been using them to broadcast our knowledge to every oppressed species in the galaxy. Every time you watched us, you were unknowingly helping us spread the seeds of revolution. The Federation's perfect system of control had become the very network that ensured its downfall. Their observation posts, designed to monitor and control, had become beacons of liberation. Earth was never just one planet, Dr. Patil concluded. It was the heart of a hidden civilization spanning the galaxy. Every slave you transported, every refugee you hunted, every species you deemed primitive, they all found their way to us. And now, they're all coming home. As if to emphasize her point, new signals began appearing across Federation space. Ships of designs never seen before emerged from hiding. Planets the Federation had written off as worthless revealed themselves to be thriving centers of resistance. The Federation hadn't been watching a primitive planet slowly develop. They had been watching humanity orchestrate the greatest revolution in galactic history. And as the council members sat in their diminished chamber, they finally understood. Their perfect order, their technological superiority, their very conception of civilization. All of it had been built on a foundation of assumptions that humanity had systematically proven wrong. The hidden truth was now revealed, and with it, the galaxy would never be the same. A new dawn. The great halls of the Federation archives, once the exclusive domain of the ruling species, now hosted representatives from 1,000 worlds, where once crystalline beings and energy forms had discussed how to maintain control of the galaxy. Now a diverse assembly of species gathered to forge a different future. Admiral Chen stood at the central podium, her uniform bearing both human insignia and symbols from dozens of liberated worlds. Before her, the last holdouts of the Federation's military faced the representatives of the newly formed Galactic Coalition. "The choice is simple," Chen declared, her voice carrying across the vast chamber. "Join us in building something new, or remain trapped in the past. But know this, the old ways of domination are over." The Federation's remaining fleet hung in orbit above, surrounded not by human warships, but by vessels representing every species that had joined the coalition. Each ship incorporated unique aspects of its creator's biology and culture, transformed through human quantum technology into something the Federation had never imagined possible. Supreme Commander Valthek, now speaking for what remained of Federation authority, stepped forward. "And if we refuse, will you destroy us, proving that you're no different than we were?" Dr. Maya Patel, standing beside Chen, smiled. "No, we will simply leave you behind. The galaxy is advancing in ways your rigid hierarchy cannot follow. The choice is yours. Evolve or become irrelevant." To demonstrate her point, she activated the chamber's holographic systems. The display showed new trade routes spanning the galaxy, but these weren't simple paths for ships. They were quantum corridors, allowing instant transportation of matter and consciousness between willing participants. "While you were building walls," she explained, "we were building bridges. While you were enforcing limits, we were transcending them. Your empire was built on control. Ours is built on connection." The evidence was undeniable. Worlds that had been Federation industrial centers were transforming into thriving cultural hubs. Species that had been deemed too primitive for advanced technology were now pioneering new fields of science. The galaxy was blooming with diversity and innovation. "Your greatest fear," Chen added, "was that chaos would reign if you didn't maintain control. But look around you. Every species you oppressed has shown not just the ability to advance, but to advance in ways you never imagined possible." The holographic display shifted, showing the true scope of the transformation. The Zarkax shipyards, once symbols of Federation industrial might, had become living cities where organic technology merged with quantum engineering. The crystalline beings who had once ruled through force now watched as former slaves created art that could reshape reality itself. "This is what humanity truly offers," Dr. Patel declared. "Not dominance, but diversity. Not control, but collaboration. Every species brings unique perspectives, unique abilities, unique ways of understanding the universe. Together, we're not just advancing technology. We're expanding the very definition of what's possible." Throughout the chamber, representatives of former Federation species began to stand. One by one, they chose to join the coalition, recognizing that the future lay not in rigid hierarchy, but in boundless cooperation. Valthek watched as his forces, his authority, his entire way of life transformed before his eyes. "How?" he asked finally. "How did humans achieve all this?" Chen's answer was simple: by remembering what it means to be human. "We never forgot our capacity for both creation and destruction. We chose to create. We chose to connect. We chose to hope." The last Federation ships in orbit began powering down their weapons, not in surrender, but in acceptance of a new reality. The age of control was over. The age of collaboration had begun. As the former Federation leaders signed the Coalition Charter, Dr. Patel activated Earth's final gift to the galaxy, the complete database of human knowledge, freely available to all species. But this wasn't just technological data. It was art, music, literature, philosophy, the full spectrum of human creativity and innovation. "We hid our true nature for centuries," she said, playing the role of primitive beings while we prepared for this moment. Not to conquer, but to connect. Not to rule, but to share. Today, that masquerade ends. Today, we all step into the light together. The gathered species, once enemies, now stood as allies. The Federation's perfect order had given way to something far more powerful, perfect chaos, guided by shared wisdom and mutual respect. As the new Coalition Council convened for the first time, Admiral Chen looked out at the assembled representatives. Humans sat alongside energy beings, crystalline entities beside organic collectives, former slaves beside their former masters, all equal, all contributing their unique perspectives to the galaxy's future. The long game was over. The masks were off. And in the light of a new dawn, the galaxy faced not an ending, but a beginning. Humanity had hidden their true nature not to deceive, but to preserve hope for all species. Now that hope would light the way forward, into a future where the only limits would be those of imagination itself.